All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Orange Crush podcast, another edition of Fridays with Faxon with the man with a plan, Faxon Childress, host of Faxon Sports and the host of the Tiger Tailgate Show. Before we get rolling, just would love to, maybe if you could tell our audience about just how things have been going on that front and what fans can expect from that show.
Yeah, well, thank you for the time as always, Grayson. It's a pleasure and a blessing to be here. And yeah, my radio show, Faxon Sports, runs 9 a.m. to noon every Monday through Friday on the flagship station. You can find us at 105.5 or 97.5 The Roar. We also have the Roar app, and then the roarfm.com is the website. And for the Tiger Tailgate Show, you don't need anything else to get primed for the Clemson football game on game day. The 3 hours leading up to the kickoff, Richmond Weaver is my lead co-host as well. Don Munson, voice of the Tigers. You might have heard that name before. All three of us combining forces on the Tiger Tailgate Show this year to provide you guys with the best insight, analysis, and commentary possible, leading all the way up to Don Munson, Tim Beret, Reggie Merriweather in the press box for kickoffs. So if you're listening to something on the way in, if you're tailgating, if you're listening to something at home, really suggest you guys check out the Tiger Tailgate Show. It's been a blast so far, and I've got a really great infrastructure of people around me to make it possible, including but not limited to producer Jason Moorhead. So just very grateful for all the opportunities that have come my way, and going to continue to work as hard as I can to provide great coverage for this program and this university.
And that will continue, and that's why we have you on, man. One of the best in the biz. But before we kind of want to do with inverse this week, feels pretty crucial to start here. And so we're going to start in Atlanta. We usually give you the NCAA slate of the week, and we end with Clemson, but this week feels with a little bit of a heightened tension before Clemson gets to the flats at Bobby Dodd for a high noon clash with the Yellow Jackets. It's looking like there's going to be some Tigers out injury-wise on that front. We'll learn more tonight and more on Saturday when we get pregame access on the field, so we'll be able to report to you guys what's going down. But Faxon, would love to just get your 2 cents on this matchup. Feels like Clemson's season could change one way or the other based off of one game, and it's weird to say that in week 3, but based off of the product we've gotten from Clemson, just feels like we're kind of at that inflection point where either Clemson's going to be the team we all thought they were, or it's going to continue to kind of teeter down what we've seen in the last 2 weeks. So just love to get your thoughts on GT. We released our prediction story this morning. I picked Georgia Tech to win. Just don't feel confident enough to pick Clemson at this moment, and I'm looking to potentially be proven wrong on Saturday. So I'd love to get your thoughts and where you see the Tigers. I know you've been hot on the station this week with Clemson.
Yeah, there are a couple storylines and a couple things about this one that are pretty simple to me. Number one, Clemson's the more talented football team at every position group on the roster, top to bottom, except maybe running back, where you can make the argument for Jamal Haynes over Adam Randall. But even then, with Clemson having the best back in the country incoming from the high school ranks and Gideon Davidson and high 4-star David Eziamume, I would still say that the room in totality is more talented in Tiger Town than it is in Atlanta. But talent doesn't always win ball games. Execution and coaching also win ball games, and you got to go out there and earn it. And you're not going to get wins on your ledger just by being the more talented roster. So while Clemson does have some pretty major advantages, in my opinion, in the talent quota, they haven't looked the part through 2 games. And that's the elephant in the room here, is that the teams looked like crap compared to what we expected, especially on the offensive side of the ball, with only putting up 13 points in your first 6 quarters of the season. Now, the stance that I've elected to take on this game, this matchup, etc., and this is from somebody that loves Georgia Tech. You know that. I'm really high on this team. I'm really high on this program. I'm really high on Brent Key. I don't think this is their day in Atlanta tomorrow, just to be honest with you. I know all the upset numbers that we're throwing out about Brent Key being 6-1 against ACC teams that are in the top 25. Well, who's that one? It's Clemson, when he came into Clemson's building a couple years back. So there's just a couple things about this matchup that I think are very advantageous for the Tigers. And I'll start out by saying lines of scrimmage. Lines of scrimmage have been a weakness for Clemson thus far this season. But in this matchup against Georgia Tech, your defensive line has to physically impose their will if you want to win this football game against GT's front. And on the inverse, the O-line, which is dealing with a couple injuries, as we saw on that availability report yesterday, O-line's got to be better and keep Cade Klubnik upright. So one of the big keys for me is just line of scrimmage play. How is Clemson going to stack up in that aspect of the game? And then another big key is first down on both sides of the football. If Clemson can make Haynes King have to be a thrower of the football and keep him in 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, Clemson's going to win this football game. But if you let Georgia Tech impose their will on early downs and they're getting in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, Haynes King's going to run for a bunch of first downs and Georgia Tech's got a good chance to win. So Clemson's got to win first down on both sides of the football, on offense for a different reason, because you need to keep that ball away from Georgia Tech. That's going to be Georgia Tech's game plan to try and beat you this upcoming Saturday in Atlanta. They want to hoard the ball. They want to win time of possession. They want it to be a low possession game, and they want to play to your identity. Clemson's got to win early downs in the line of scrimmage battle if they want to win in Atlanta.
I think what's really important too, and the fast starts with Clemson this year have been, as you mentioned, the 13 points in 6 quarters certainly can't happen. And I think for Clemson, it's a team that's not going to likely be ideal if they're having to have a Hoosiers-esque halftime speech from Peter Woods again and Bobby Dodd. Just certainly one thing that you can't have happen. We say this a lot, but I think we'll find out pretty early what type of football game we're getting. Because if Clemson goes down there and completely flips that script, maybe that second half's the mulligan they needed offensively, and it's a 7-0 ball game early in GT, I think a lot of fans would feel comfortable that there's some juice and some rhythm. But up to this point, we haven't really seen that yet, and that's what gives me concern about this matchup is Georgia Tech's going to be able to catch them early, and they're going to be able to hang around, which feels like that's their best quality is they're never really out of the fight, and they always have a puncher's chance. And if you let them stay 8-9 rounds, they got a knockout punch in there at some point.
Yeah, and that's what it's kind of about. It's going to be intriguing to see how everything plays out in Atlanta this upcoming weekend. But GT is a team that has made their hay and their calling card on pulling these big-time upsets, and they win every single one of these games the exact same way. It's low possession. It's running the football. It's micromanaging down in distance. It's not asking Haynes King to be a passer of the football because that's not his biggest strength. His biggest strength is being a runner of the football and a physical runner of the football in short down and distance situations to extend drives and to keep the ball. So, Clemson has to perform well in the first quarter of this game if they want to win. And I think you're 100% right, Grayson, to say we're going to know pretty early what type of game we're going to get. The scripted drive is the most important drive of the season for Clemson headed down to Atlanta on Saturday. They need to score points on the first drive of this game so everybody can just take a deep breath and chill out, because I do think there's a certain mental element that's crept into this team these past few weeks on offense that maybe, is part of the reason we haven't seen the ball rolling as efficiently as we would have hoped at this point.
Yeah, I think efficiency is going to be the name of the game. And so we'll be monitoring that tomorrow. It's going to be noon. We're 24 hours away. Essentially at the time of recording this. So ACC play is here. It's already week 3. Can you believe that? Just as a side note?
Man, it's almost a quarter of the way through the season, and it feels like I was just watching, at Loose Change with you, the Kansas State-Iowa State game, which is like the worst football game ever. Feels like we were just there. So I'm excited. I'm excited for tomorrow, obviously, but it's kind of crazy how quick it's going by.
Does it feel like every time you and I get together for a football game, it ends up being complete trash?
Yeah, you know what? You might be onto something there. Maybe we need to start watching games at separate locations. Maybe there's a method there. I'm not sure, but I definitely do want to catch some of the games with you on Saturday night when you get back from Atlanta.
Have to. We got to find a way to redeem that like point margin, because that was pretty disappointing week 0 with the boys in Dublin. So we'll figure it out. But actually, the next game I want to get to, and we're going to kind of go through these a little bit more of a rapid fire fashion. But there's some interesting games. Like week 2 was kind of a pretty cruddy slate, if we're being completely honest, and a lot of teams might have fallen under the radar in terms of the result. But first one I want to mention is Vanderbilt and South Carolina have kind of flown a little bit under the rug. There's the Georgia Tennessee. There is USF in Miami. There's a lot of other games, Notre Dame and Texas A&M. But this one feels important to what you and I had kind of discussed on the phone over the summer about South Carolina, is that this is a game they absolutely have to win. If they want to be anything close to what they were last year, it's one of those moments where this feels like that must-win scenario for Shane Beamer. And for Vanderbilt, they've been kind of knocking on the door with Diego Pavia. How do you kind of see this one playing out? It feels like not many folks are talking about this.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be whoever has the ball last wins the game. And what immediately pops into mind is the Missouri-South Carolina game last year in Columbia, which was back and forth, and Brady Cook took him down the field with 2 minutes left. And it's like, oh my gosh, Drinkowitz is going to beat Beamer again. And then here comes Lenora Sellers and Rocket Sanders the other way, and they end up getting a triumphant victory at home over the Tigers. I see a pretty similar game script for this one, Grayson, to be honest with you. And I think there are a couple big keys. I'm going to be taking Vanderbilt with the points and to win the game outright. But I do think there's a game script that very easily could see South Carolina win the game. I just think these two teams are pretty evenly matched, to be candid. My biggest concern with South Carolina, and where I would give an advantage to Vanderbilt, even though they're going on the road into a hostile environment, run game and consistency in the run game. Alexander is going to be the best back on the field in Columbia on Saturday, and they have much more of an identity established in the run game than South Carolina does. South Carolina's played 3 games with Mike Shula as their play caller. They've scored 17 points offensively in all 3 of those games. Now, a couple of the score lines have gotten inflated because they have 3 punt returns in 2 games for touchdowns this season, but it's been 17 points of offense in all 3 games dating back to last year that Shula has called for sellers. I just don't think that marriage has worked necessarily yet. Still think South Carolina is a darn good football team. It's got a chance to accomplish a ton of goals throughout the course of this season, and they could very well win this football game. But gun to head, if I've got to make a pick, give me give me Vanderbilt over South Carolina, maybe 27-24, in a very similar fashion to the way the Mizzou game played out last year. I like whoever has the ball last in Columbia. I think this one's going down to the wire.
You certainly want a fun one to monitor. Going to be 7:45 tomorrow. They also you're a little bit of a week early on Missouri. They play the Tigers on the road next weekend.
I love that Missouri team. I love that
good.
Missouri team so
It's a
much.
good team.
Pribula, don't be shocked if that Joker's in New York. I'm just going to say that right now. I said it at the Roars College Football Kickoff Show where I had Missouri in my playoff, and Pribula potentially making a Heisman race, maybe a dark horse. We've got a long way to go, and it's only been 2 games. But keep your eye on that Missouri team, man. They're no joke. They're a really, really good football team this year in Columbia, Missouri.
They got a great quarterback play, and that's sort of the secret sauce when it comes to some of these gauntlet schedules that you have to play. You got to have a dude back there under center. South Carolina does as well, but you kind of mentioned the marriage on offense. It hasn't looked good. It hasn't looked very efficient for a majority of this season under Shula. So I would think I would take Vanderbilt as well. I think I tend to agree with you on this one. And I think Carolina fans, this is one they're crossing their fingers they can get past, because this is one they absolutely need before they get to that October schedule. And it's just, it's ridiculous. There's no other word to describe it. They're going to go through it in the latter half of the season. But moving on to another game, one that I think I had talked to you on the phone about this yesterday. How in the world is this on the CW network? No shade to the CW, but they need like a Sean McDonough. They need a Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit kind of call for this game. USF has been largely disrespected by certain AP poll voters or whatever network you're throwing them on. The Bulls are coming down to Miami to potentially try to beat Giant Slayers 3 times this season. Took down Boise State, college football playoff team, last year. You take down Florida, a team people thought would take a leap this year with DJ Lagway or Laggle. They tried to make the DJ joke with Clemson fans, which is, man, it's relentless these days. But do you see USF being a Giant Slayer? I think 17.5 is pretty wide for this one. I'm not going to take USF to win this game, but I wouldn't be shocked if they keep it close again. And they're giving Miami fans a little bit of a stress test. They're going to have to get that blood pressure checked after this game.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know how Florida lost last week. South Florida didn't have a sack, and they still managed to win the game, which is unbelievable as a 2-touchdown plus underdog. I'm worried about South Florida in this one. I think it's more likely they get steamrolled than repeat the miracle in Gainesville of last week. And it's nothing against Galesh or his group or Byron Brown or any of those guys. But I also just think that this is a weird one to evaluate for me, because I almost think that if a score line becomes lopsided, you need to start making business decisions if you're South Florida. And what I mean by that is you're the group of 5 frontrunner right now for the college football playoff. There's nobody in the country that really has a chance to match both of your wins, being Boise State and Florida, back-to-back to start the season. If you get down 14 plus, you don't need to be running Byron Brown into the ground and subjecting him to hits against superior level of talent and physicality, because you still have your whole season to play for, and you might end up in this sucker in the college football playoffs. So that's something I'm going to keep my eye on. South Florida could have burst onto the scene earlier last year, and Byron Brown got hurt and missed 8 games. You have to keep that guy upright. I would tend to be even more conservative this week running your quarterback, because even if you do get a win, it's not worth losing your big-time QB that could carry you to the college football playoff. Stay healthy, stay respectable this week if you're South Florida, and you still have a ton to play for the rest of the year. But give me the Canes, with that being said, 34-10 over South Florida.
Yeah, 17.5 is a weird number. I think many are probably going to fall into that trap of taking it, including myself. And I'm still on the fence about Miami's true chances to be one of the true contenders this year. I know you've transitioned to a crystal ball supporter temporarily. I know that's a
They're good.
you're paying rent. You're not fully you
Right.
haven't really signed on just yet. But I'm just not I'm not there yet. I may be knocking on the door soon, but this feels like one of those games that crystal ball is kind of primed to lose, or at least really give fans pause to struggle with. So I think USF's going to keep this competitive. I do understand. I rewatched that Florida matchup. A lot of those wounds were self-inflicted from the Gators.
Hmm.
Could have been easily fixable. So
Yep.
that might give Gator fans hope heading into LSU, which we'll talk about later. But I don't see it happening 3 times. It'd be a great college football story if it does. And you got to seriously consider USF as the lock at that point for the group of 5, considering who they'll play next. So we will see. Facts, another one. I think College Game Day may be heading to this. Is it Georgia, Tennessee? Are they heading to Rocky Top for Game Day?
I want to say that's right. Yeah, I think that's correct.
I'm going to quickly look. But as I'm doing that, we can transition to Georgia, Tennessee. This is an interesting one for, yeah, they're going to be in Georgia. They're going to be in Tennessee for this one. But looking at this one overall, it's fascinating because Tennessee, the home team, you feel like you have that kind of advantage there. This is going to be a awakening for Mr. Joey Aguilar, who's never quite seen a game like this. And I know he was in Clemson and played fine. He didn't play well enough to win, obviously. The App State got rolled in that matchup, but this is a little different where you're walking into the building with an expectation to win versus we're being paid to be here. So I think Georgia's going to smoke them tomorrow. I really do. I don't think this is going to be close relatively at all. But do you have a contrasting opinion on that?
Before we get back to this video, we'd like to thank the title sponsor for this podcast, Newton, Scott, and Associates. This team is headlined by Jeff Scott, former Clemson assistant coach and 2-time national champion, as well as Eric Newton, a longtime local and trusted real estate partner. These two are teaming up to provide a first-class experience for all Clemson fans. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or build in the upstate area of South Carolina, you can trust Newton, Scott, and Associates. Choose the same team that Clemson coaches are selecting when they're looking to buy, sell, or build, all the way from Tigertown to Lake Kiowee. For more information, you can find them at newtonscottsc.com or by calling the number 864-722-9062. That's 864-722-9062. Now, let's get back to the video.
I'm conflicted. Okay, so there are a couple of things here. Kirby owns the living soul out of Josh Heupel. That much has been established in Heupel's short tenure up in Knoxville. Georgia's won 8 straight matchups over the Tennessee Volunteers dating back to 2017. The last time Tennessee beat Georgia was on the Josh Dobbs Hail Mary in Athens in the Obama administration, if anybody remembers that one. So it's been a while, right? We've been through a couple different presidents since the last time Tennessee's beat Georgia. The line's 3.5, man, and it opened at 7.5. And the line is so short because Georgia has missed 2 key offensive linemen through their first 2 games, and they've had some big issues at O-line, right? They were playing a kid at left tackle that was recruited as a basketball player out of high school. He got put on his tail by Marshall and Austin Peay. So they're expecting to have a couple key guys back. I'm going to take the Bulldogs, and I'm going to take the Bulldogs to cover the number. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout. I'll just say that right now. I'm not sure if Georgia's offense is clicking at the level that it needs to be for it to be a blowout, but I just don't see how Joey Aguilar and this Volunteer offense are going to move the ball on Kirby and Schumann and those dogs on defense, for lack of a better term. It's just a completely different level of physicality, toughness, and talent that Tennessee's going to be facing compared to their first 2 games. So give me Georgia in a low-scoring affair. I'll go Bulldogs 23-10.
Yeah, it's interesting because Stockton's not really one that I'm looking at quarterback-wise and going, wow, this guy's a game changer. Georgia's roster is
Stockton's really good. The issue is they can't keep him upright, and he's just not like you said, he's not like an elevator of talent. He's just good. Like, he's just going to flatline it good, and he's got a little bit of running ability. But, dude, they had to throw the ball 34 times last week and play Gunner into the 4th quarter to get away from Austin Peay. Like, I'm a little concerned about Georgia and compared to most years. I don't know if that's just because of Gunner. I don't think it has anything to do with him, really. I just don't trust Mike Bobo.
I think it's more about him steering the ship and making sure they don't hit any icebergs along the way. And I just don't see Tennessee being the Titanic sinking ship of the SEC. I think that comes down the road for Georgia in their schedule. So probably relatively easy consensus there. One that I think also you and I agree on, but we'll save that one for last. I want to shift to Florida and LSU. I think this is a really interesting game for Clemson fans in particular to watch, just because of the way it's framed. Florida's coming off of this heartbreaking loss in the Swamp to USF, a team that's probably better than people are giving credit for. You know who you are, AP voters. You know who you are. LSU coming off a similar struggle against a team in La Tech. I think it was 23-3 was the final score. So it wasn't some dominant offensive masterclass against a team you're supposed to put in the bookshelf by the second half. So I find this really fascinating. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people might expect because this is a Florida team that's going to be desperate to have a bounce back. This is an LSU team that may come in overlooking a Florida team that has kind of struggled, fairly so. So is this closer? I think that LSU is still kind of trying to find their footing early on in the season. I looked at this potentially being College game day with the way Florida was trending, and then all of a sudden a bowl-size upset happened last weekend, and we pivoted to Tennessee. So LSU, I like LSU in this one, probably by like 14, but it's really close, maybe closer than the score would indicate. So I'd love to hear where you kind of stand in this SEC matchup.
I'm going to take LSU. The spread is a little short or shorter what I anticipated at 6.5, 7.5, depending on where you're getting your line. Here's the thing. LSU didn't look like they gave one rip last week against Louisiana Tech. They looked like a team that had plastered Clemson over everything for 3 months because that's what they did, and we've confirmed that. And they looked like a team that was just content with rolling the ball out and partying in Baton Rouge on Saturday night, and it didn't matter how many points they won by. I'm expecting a Clemson type of demeanor from LSU in this performance against Florida. And here's the thing. Florida has the talent and the line of scrimmage talent to compete with some of the best teams in the country. That's never been the question. We've seen them go toe-to-toe and even upset some of the best teams in the country these last couple of years. Heck, they took Georgia to the wire last year with Grayson Mann at quarterback, right? Had a complete nobody in there, and they still took them to the wire and found a way to make that game competitive. Florida has that innate ability to BS their way into close games regardless. So I tend to believe that this is going to be a little bit closer than some may anticipate. My big key to this is who's going to be able to run the ball more efficiently. Ball is a good back at Florida. They ran the ball all right last week against South Florida. If they can play time of possession and play keep away and also stifle Caden Durham, who only had 2.3 yards per carry last week against La Tech, then Florida's got a puncher's chance to win this football game if Lagway plays up to par. But I'm going to take LSU. I think that defense is legit, and I'm going to go 27-14 Tigers over Gators. Think it's going to be a late touchdown for the cover for LSU in a game that looks competitive for 3.5 quarters, and then Nussmeier delivers a knockout blow to give the Tigers a victory.
We're talking about Billy Napier keeping his job. If they throw me out there at quarterback, then that man probably will be coaching JV football for the rest of his life. That would be something. You know, just a little bit of an interesting segue, Faxon. I actually tried out at quarterback in 8th grade.
Really?
Did not go well. They immediately, for some reason, decided to move me to left tackle the second day of practice. And you can imagine, based off my size, that was not the position that stuck for me. But did think I was going to be the next Brady one day, and certainly was not after one practice. Quickly realized I was out of my element, and that throwing in the backyard was very different. So I decided I'll catch the ball instead for 4 years and have fun, a good time with it. So did they ever put you at QB? I know you played soccer, but I'd love to see the Childress athleticism in the backfield.
Yeah, I had my wings clipped before I was ever off the ground with football by my parents, unfortunately. I had a bunch of concussions growing up playing soccer and basketball, so I never got a chance to showcase my talents other than kicker punter, so never really got a chance to give it a go. But if you played against me in intramurals at Clemson, I mean, we won a couple championships in flag football. I've got a little bit in the tank there, but we're not going to give away the secret sauce too much. If I were to play a position on a football field, unironically, I would play defensive back. That's the only one that I feel like I have like a supernatural feel for the position. So I think I could get away at DB for maybe a couple possessions, but QB, that would be fighting an uphill battle at the Division I level. That's for certain.
We'd have to pick and choose your battles at DB because I would hate to see like an A.J. Brown on the other side, or gosh, if even like a TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, Antonio Williams, that'd just be a tough day for you, man.
Hey, listen, one thing about me, I'm not going to back down. So AJ, right. TJ, Bryant, right here. I'm gonna strap up. But in all seriousness, I'm never one to back down from a challenge, and I'm also not somebody that's shy to embarrass myself. Grayson, I think you know that about me by now. I don't really embarrassment's not a real thing; it's mental. So I would go toe to toe with any of those guys. I would get smoked, and I would do it with a smile on my face. So if the opportunity ever arises, I'll go one-on-one against anybody in the country, man. I'm the best corner in the country, and if you're not going to have that mentality, you need to be playing a different position. Simple.
Every time you do that seatbelt position, and this is for our YouTube audience specifically, if you're not watching on YouTube, please subscribe. But we got him standing up to do this. Okay, so you T-posed last week, and now we're doing the seatbelt celly for week 3.
Funnily enough, I actually talked with a couple different dudes. I talked with Richard Jurgen, James Hudson as well. Like, we had him on the show last week, and we were talking about celebrations on Tiger Tailgate. And Richard Jurgen, with all the great stuff he does at Clemson, shout out to Richard if you're watching this, he was telling me his favorite celly that the DBs do now is you'll get the both thumbs down, and you'll go right here into the back, and you just like that. You'll see that from Ashton Hampton. He's pulled that one out of the bag a couple times. But, yeah, DB, that position gravitates towards my personality because I'm a talker when I play. I can't help it. I just I enter a different mindset, and that's a position where you can get your game off and you can talk.
When I see you talking trash to a 12-year-old at a ACC kickoff, I know that you definitely are a talker. That is for sure. That is for damn sure.
Y'all are funny. Hey, listen, I will say this. We got Syracuse coming to the crib next week. Fran Brown, did not mean any disrespect to your son. And, like, me and his son are cool, man. We dapped each other up before, after the game. Like, that's my guy right there. So shout out to the Brown family, and it was nothing personal. It's just, if it's me versus you, I'm picking me.
There you go. And we got a last pick 'em. We're not picking Faxon on this one because it's 2 separate teams in college football, but a fun one: Texas A&M and Notre Dame. I think this is a rematch from last year. This is one Notre Dame has a bye week, week 2, kind of an awkward start to the season where you go to Miami, it's hot and it's humid, you battle back in the fourth quarter to fall short, and then the season is paused for a week. So I'm taking Texas A&M in this one. I think that Texas A&M, the quarterback, Marcel Reed, I like him a little bit more in this juncture. If this team was playing in November and CJ Card shown signs of development, probably changing my mind on a very equal talent level roster-wise. This is a big win for Mike Elko coming out of the gate. One that Texas A&M needs, obviously, with some schedule boosting before they get to the SEC play.
Yeah, I'm conflicted here. I'm going to pick Texas A&M to win the football game and cover the spread, and a couple reasons why, okay? Number one reason, Notre Dame's offensive line got freaking destroyed by Miami's front seven. And now, like, a part of that is why I love this Miami team, right? You got Bain, you got Messidor, you got Maui Goa. You got some really freaking talented players in that front seven for Miami. But lines of scrimmage aren't too shabby at Texas A&M. That's a big calling card for this team, this program, Mike Elko, and the way he likes to build and stack as well. They've got depth. They've got talent. They've got the best running back room in college football, in my opinion. And they've got a quarterback that's hard to game plan for because he's dynamic with his legs. I don't know. CJ Carr grew up in the second half of that game in Coral Gables. And if I got to give Notre Dame some credit, they pulled off a comeback and they tied the game. But they also gave up the game-winning drive to Carson Beck on the other hand, and another loss would probably end their season. I've gone back and forth on this one all week, to be honest with you, Grayson, because I think the talent level on both teams is comparable. I think I'm going to give a slight bump on the offensive side of the ball to Texas A&M, slight bump on the defensive side of the ball to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got the desperation factor. Their college football playoff chances are probably on the line in this one, but A&M might just be a better football team, and A&M might be a better coached football team as well, which could be a little bit of a hot take considering Freeman just went to the national championship. But I really like Mike Elko. I believe that he is the man that's going to lead Texas A&M back to the college football playoff. And I think Texas A&M wins the football game. Give me the Aggies 27-26 on the road, game-winning field goal as time expires, and they pull the Northern Illinois on Notre Dame. That's my bold take of the week.
For watching that one Saturday night together, then we've redeemed our pitiful stat line.
You see what I'm doing here, right? Because I'm trying to manifest a good game for us to watch together and speak some positive energy. Because every time Grayson and I watch a game together, it's terrible. Nobody can score.
It's bad.
I don't know what's going on.
We're watching basically punt fests every single time. It makes me upset. Yes. What is the universe doing, man? What is the universe doing?
They're not on our side right now, but maybe that changes on Saturday.
You got to hope. You got to also hope that Atlanta traffic doesn't bite us in the rear on our way back from Bobby Dodd. And we'll see how that one goes. We'll be breaking all of it down. We'll have Faxon back next Friday. And I think, Faxon, my new challenge to you as we wrap this up is going to be, I need a new celebration or some sort of pose. Because we've gone 2 weeks with something wacky, and I feel like that's been the fun part of this weekly episode with you is you've stood up twice and given us something. I think the audience could potentially appreciate that. Maybe they can pull that maybe it's Thanksgiving football and they're thinking about what celebration to pull on their niece or nephew after mossing them. They're like, I got a seatbelt on them. So maybe you've started something like your Drake May Sucks campaign.
I mean, if people are similar minded to me, we gotta quit giving out participation trophies to the younger generation. Like there's got to be somebody that sets up and sets the tone and welcomes people into real life. Like I feel like we give things out too easily nowadays as a society. So if I have to take and I have to be the bad guy, even if it's for 5 minutes, somebody's got to learn lessons, man. I don't care if it's your niece, your nephew, your younger brother. At some point in time, reality is going to smack them in the face, and you can be a part of that and help bring them into the real world by not taking it easy on them in games. Also a part of this, my family never took it easy on me. So keep that in mind. Maybe that's why I view it this way. My grandma whooped me at Monopoly up and down until I was like 14 years old, and I could never get her. And I was talking my talk when I finally got Gigi. So shout out to her if she's watching this. But that's just a firm belief of mine that, like, I don't care who it is. If it's in a competitive setting, like I'm taking it serious and I'm playing to win.
Can we bring you on for like Monopoly Mondays on this show? Maybe get like
I'll play whatever, man. I'll play whatever. I tweet at people all the time too. Like people will ask to play pickup basketball. I'll show up wherever. I'll play pickup soccer. I play pickup soccer with listeners. I'll play pickup football. I just love to compete, man. And I love my job. So y'all let me know. Hit me up on Twitter at FaxonPXP and I'll run whatever. You want to play Monopoly? You want to play card games? You want to play Sorry? We'll play whatever, man.
Ooh, Sorry. That's an old one. That's an old but a good one.
That's a fun one, man. Get a little shoots and ladders in there, maybe.
We're going across the board game spectrum today here with Faxon Childress of 105.5 The Roar, who's a ball knower when it comes to the elite board games. Sorry's
a good one, man.
That's good stuff. There's also I loved Hungry Hungry Hippos as a little kid just because I got to smash like the thing over and over, and like you'd get like the dice to fall in the hippo's mouth. It was elite. It was a good time.
See, where you got to watch people for that though. You got to make sure you're playing on an even surface with Hungry Hungry Hippos.
That's right.
I got cheated one time by one of my childhood friends. I think I was 8, and we were playing on like a slanted surface. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? I can't get a single ball for my hippo. And then I picked up that was on a little bit of a slant. So just watch your pivot if you're playing Hungry Hungry Hippos. Watch where you're playing. Make sure you inspect that playing surface and make sure it's regulation.
We got Hungry Hippo Gate coming to you live here. But Faxon, my final question to you, since we're talking about the old childhood games, I got to ask: were you a Lego guy? I wasn't a
Lego guy growing up. I'm sorry.
Terrible.
Yeah, there are a couple areas of my childhood that I just whiffed. I never watched SpongeBob growing up. Was never big into Legos, and those are kind of the two that get everybody. I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob growing up. So it just was what it was. I live in the house, abide by the rules.
We need extra 30 minutes for that atrocity of the no Legos. SpongeBob thing is fine, but the Legos, like you were robbed of your imagination.
I did play Lego Star Wars. I loved that game on the 360. We get the dun 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 dun. You're in the little cantina. Yeah. No, I was on that, and I was on that. I think Lego Batman had a game, if I'm not mistaken, too. I had Lego Batman. I just never. My brain is not very good at like putting things together, like building things, and like that's just not my strength in life. My strength is talking. So that never computed with my brain. And like, I think I got a Lego set once, and at this point we're just rambling. I think I got a Lego set like once, and I just couldn't really like figure it out. And I was just like, you know what? I'm taking my ball and going home.
You know, the one thing is we both went to a college that's known for its engineering, and we're not built for the life. Don't understand it. Like people will tell me they were mechanical engineering majors, and I'm just like, dude, how? I don't understand it.
I mean, it's crazy. Like if you look at my ACT scores by subject, you would think the English and the science person were a different person. I mean, it's like there's a double-digit gap in my score on the ACT between English and science. So like English, social studies, and even math, like I was always locked in. You get me in science or like geometry or like architecture, my brain completely like I have no idea what in the world's going on if you get me in any of those worlds. So I'm very grateful there's smarter people than I am out there to help keep the world rolling.
We're just a bunch of meatheads talking sports. But guys, thank you as always for tuning in to this very out there episode. We talk football, we talk Django, we talk Legos, we talk everything
Django,
across. Where Django's also a good one. Friendships can be ruined by that game, but guys, thank you as always for tuning in to Fridays with Faxon. Faxon, we're gonna give you the mic here for a bit. If you want to plug any more of your stuff or just anything exciting that you want to tease to the audience, we love having you on here, man.
Yeah, you can tune into my show from 9 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday on the flagship 105.5, 97.5, or download the Roar app. Encourage you guys to turn on the Tiger Tailgate show in the 3 hours leading up to kickoff on all of the Clemson Athletic Network affiliates and or the website at clemsontigers.com. And you can give me a follow on Twitter at FaxonPXP. Do a lot of Clemson coverage and really excited to just continue with this season, hoping for two to show up and play a really good game tomorrow down in Atlanta, and just excited to spot the ball for another weekend. We got the best job in the world, Grayson, and I never take a minute of it for granted. So thank you, guys.
Spot the dang ball. Let's get rocking and rolling, guys. Thank you as always for tuning in to another episode of the Orange Crush podcast. I want to thank Chick-fil-A and Newton Scott & Associates for helping us power through the 2025 season. Hopefully they can help you power through your real estate needs, or if you're just hungry, go to Chick-fil-A. What are you doing? But guys, thank you as always for tuning in. God bless y'all. Have a good one.